Demai, Perek Bet, Mishnah Bet. I'm going to dedicate this learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Okay, so until now we've been talking about the notion of Am Haaretz. We're going to have three different categories. Until now we discussed the notion of an Am Haaretz. Here we are. Okay, the Am Haaretz is the basic level of personal status. He is chashud ala demai, meaning if you buy something from an Am Haaretz, you have to assume that he didn't take off the proper ma'asrot, and therefore but ma'aser is not taken off and ma'aser sheni is not taken off properly. He is chashud al hadmai. Okay, but now let's say the person wants to be the ne'eman. There's another level to be ne'eman. We're going to see ne'eman. The word ne'eman means reliable. And then the next mission we're going to see liot chaver, to be a chaver. Chaver is like the highest level, and there are different categories or requirements to get from level to level. It's also very interesting. So I was looking at the Mishnah Eretz Yisrael from Rab Safrai, I think his name is, Mishnah Eretz Yisrael, from Shmuel Safrai, okay, which is an unbelievable book. This idea of hamikabel alav, one who accepts upon himself, he says, when you look at the Tosefta, we'll see it in a second, but if you look at the Tosefta, which you can find, I'll just show you where the link is, in Machon Mamre, incredible website. When you look at the Tosefta, you see that this idea of mikabel alav, like you look at it, I'll just read you a couple of quotes, and we're going to see something else later. Mikabel alav arba dvarim mikablin oto liot chaver. Mikablin oto means they accept him. So that implies that mikabel alav means there's some kind of, vad, there's some kind of committee of chaverim to be into the club. Right? I'm a kabel alav liot ne'eman. You want to be ne'eman? So you have to go to the. Sounds like you had to go to the ne'eman group and make it known. I'll just say exactly why. Okay, there's a couple of more. There's some fascinating comparisons. Ger shekibel alav kol divrei Torah. So like we all know that in order to become a ger, even that's common today. This idea of ne'eman and chaver are not common. But ger shekibel alav, I'm a kabel alav. So when a ger wants to become a ger, he has to go in front of a beit din. So there's a certain parallel between all of them. That a person wants to now become a ne'eman. You are now ma'aretz. People didn't trust your food. They thought you didn't take off trumot and maser. And now you want to be a ne'eman. So what do you have to do? Says the Mishnah, mekabel alav liot ne'eman, ma'aser et shehu ochel. He has to take off ma'aser from everything he eats. Ve'et shehu mocher, everything he sells. Ve'et shehu lokeach, and everything that he buys to resell. Okay? Think about the Mishnah Eretz Yisrael. He points out, okay, for my eating, that's one thing. So if I ma'aser everything, I think the way you have to think about this is in terms of, let's say, in today's vernacular, I would consider the comparison to be, I want to only eat mahadrin. Okay? So if I'm going to only, so in Israel, like the mahadrin is like crazy. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of levels. So people come to my house and they only eat machbur. That's a certain kind of hechsher and chicken. So it's one thing to say, okay, everything I eat, I want to be ne'eman, so I'm only going to eat machbur. But now the Mishnah said it's not enough. Et shehu mocher, I only sell machbur. Et shehu lokeach, everything I buy to resell, I'm only going to buy machbur. And if you know anything about prices in Israel, that's a very expensive proposition. I got to tell a story. So we went to a restaurant last night called Agas V'Tapuach in Yerushalayim. And Agas V'Tapuach used to be under the OU. And now it's under Rabbanut Yerushalayim Mahadrin. And somebody came in and said, what's the hechsher? And they wanted to be OU. And then they walked out because they wanted OU Israel. Which is perfectly their right. And I got into a discussion. I saw the whole interaction. I got into a discussion with the proprietress. And she was explaining that the OU Israel is significantly more expensive than the Rabbanut Mahadrin. Even though she said it's the same mashkiach, actually the exact same person. Whatever. That's not, the point being, et shehu mocher, if everything I sell has to be mu'usar and demai, so just think about how I have to take off ma'aser, even though I can keep it, I have to take off trumat ma'aser, I have to take ma'aser sheni and sell it in Yerushalayim. So that's already like a 10% premium, more than a 10% premium on a price. So everything I sell, nothing in my store. So if I have a store, I'm trying to sell the broad public. I have a store, and the guy next to me also has a store, but he's selling to Amei Haaretz. So you could assume that the people looking for OU Israel, for Mahadrin, you could assume that they're gonna come to my store. Is it enough? You have to realize that's an expensive proposition. That I promise I only want to be in this group of people that only sells it. And when somebody comes into my store, he knows specifically that everything that he's buying is mitukan. We have no idea like how this ne'emanut worked, but one might think that it's sort of like how did they determine what was kosher or not? This raises the whole specter of levels and chumras we're going to see. How do you know who had ne'emanut and who did not when a person came to the store? So everybody in town knew. So is that like being like mahadran? In their times, and if you want to be mahadran, you have to be accepted to the mahadran club, and then everybody made it known. Very interesting. Mishnah continues. So there's so much to think about in this case. Another specter of mahadran, which is something important, critical social issue, is Eino mitareach etel am haaretz. You won't eat at the am haaretz's house. Why? Because I take that back. I have to retranslate. Eino mitareach etel am haaretz. He does not. Areach means to stay over, to be hosted as a guest. Remember, we're not talking about kosher or non-kosher. So theoretically, if I was staying at the am haaretz's house and he fed me food, I could, I guess, on my plate, separate it, designate, and say, this is truma, and I have my own truma back home, and then the kedusha of this truma is chala, my truma back home. You could be very quietly. It's not like, if I'm at somebody's house and I'm wondering, is this my hechsher? There's no way I can elevate the hechsher of my chicken from Rabbanut Mahadran to Rab Machbud to Kehilos. There's no way to do that. But in Trumot and Masorot, I can quietly designate, or I'm very meticulous, I hope you don't mind. I wonder how that would go over if somebody, serves me a plate of grapes and I say, oh, thank you very much, before I eat this, I hope you don't mind, you're an am haaretz, I'm an Ne'eman, and I'm going to be, designating my Trumot Maser over here. I hope you're not insulted. Nonetheless, so for this reason, whatever the Chachamim say, Eino mitareach etzel am haaretz. You cannot be hosted at the house of an am haaretz. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Av mitareach etzel am haaretz ne'eman. Even someone who is hosted by, stays as a guest at an am haaretz, is still an ne'eman. You can be a ne'eman. Okay? So now, the Mishnah, how that would be, it's unclear. So it's a very fascinating issue, because would you say, so one second, so therefore, did he eat at the am haaretz's house? It's hard to say. You're a ne'eman, so how could you eat at somebody's house? Did he eat at the am haaretz's house, and we assume that he inquired from the am haaretz? Meaning, if somebody only eats mahadran, and I don't eat, if somebody only eats machbud, so on my house, I don't only eat machbud, I eat Rabbanut Mahadran. So can somebody not eat at my house? Or would you say that somebody who eats at my house made sure that he was getting machbud chicken? It's a very interesting question. What was the assumption of Rabbi Yehuda? Because the Chachamim clearly say, listen, al atzmo eino ne'eman. Keitzad yehi ne'eman al shel achirim. So there's two ways to read this. The way they read it, al shel achirim, means he's not ne'eman, he's not a ne'eman. How could he not be ne'eman? Because he has to bring proof. This person, it seems that even though he has to bring proof that he now wants to be ne'eman, he's going to before the vad, before the committee. So al atzmo eino ne'eman. He is not ne'eman yet upon himself. Keitzad yehi ne'eman al shel achirim. How can he be ne'eman to say, no, when I went to the am haaretz's house, I only ate from dvarim mitukanim. How can I be ne'eman al shel achirim? The Mekati says there's another girsa. Al atzmo ne'eman. Keitzad yehi ne'eman al achirim. Not al shel achirim or al achirim. Meaning, we don't trust him because now he's eating at the am haaretz's house. How can you say he's ne'eman on achirim? How can other people rely on him if we don't trust him about himself? I have to share with you the Tosefta and Demai before we conclude. The Tosefta says the following. So first of all, in our Mishnah, we saw that it was Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. In the Tosefta, Eino mitarech etzel am haaretz Rabbi Meir, Chachamim omrim hamitarech etzel am haaretz ne'eman. So it switches. It's Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. I don't know if there's a Gemara on this. I don't think so, but the Gemara should figure this out. Any Yerusha Gemara would try to figure it out. Amar Rabbi Meir, al etzmo ne'eman, yehi ne'eman al elu. What? It sounds like the second version. We don't rely on him. How can we rely? How can we rely on him for other things? Listen to this line. The Tosefta says, "Miyameim shabalabatim." In the days, as long as the balabatim were around, ne'emanim, not ne'emanim, lo nimnu miyot ochlim ze etzel ze. They would never not eat one at each other's houses. Va'afal pikein perotem shebetoch betehem mitukanim. Nonetheless, the fruits in their houses were mitukan, were considered mitukan, separated, designated, not demai. This is a very touchy subject. They didn't lo nimnu miyot ochlin. This language of miyameim lo nimnu mi liyot lo nimnu. They did not refrain. Very much reminds me of another phrase about Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. That Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel in the Gemara in Yevamos says there was huge machloktim about what were considered sarot and whether you could do yibum or not do yibum. And the implication was that someone who was a mamzer, so you could end up having a person that would do yibum according to Beit Shammai and be a mamzer according to Beit Hillel. Literally that. And the Gemara says, Miyamim, nonetheless, lo nirnu milisa zelazeh. They didn't hold back from marrying each other. Meaning, despite the fact that they had very, very strong differences of opinion, they didn't hold back. And then the commentaries of Rishonim go crazy about that whole discussion and say, did they really? Maybe lo nimnu means they warned each other. Nonetheless, you see this idea of amit arveach etel ha'aretz, like, could I eat at your house and then would I trusted myself if I wanted to be a ne'eman? What if a ne'eman did eat out and then people would say, how could he eat out at that guy's house? These are the issues that we have today about eating out and sharing food and do I trust you and do I have to have, these are also issues of do I have to have different standards when I go to your house? What about the issue of kavod habriot and not embarrassing you? And do I have to have the same standards for myself? Do those apply in somebody else's house? You know, this comes up very often in Pesach. Let's say I go to a Sephardi's house and he eats kitniot and I don't eat kitniot. Can I eat his food? Can I not eat his food? Major halachic issues. So this Mishnah raises the specter, I know I'm going too long, I apologize, raises this huge specter of bitarech etzel ha'aretz and is there ne'eman and not. And it's very clear that there was a very clear designated system between these three groups of ha'aretz, ne'eman and chaver. And one imagines not a small amount of elitism as well. Comments or questions, rspolter@gmail.com. Have a great day.